David Parker, give us the numbers on some of these key ballot initiatives, if you can.
Yeah, sure. Let's talk about 185 first. And as you noted, right, that's the tobacco tax, and it would basically extend Medicaid expansion permanently. That's all tied up at 41% yes, 41% no, with 17% don't know. Then if you move over to the 186, which is the mining initiative that basically denies a permit for new hard rock mines if they don't have a particular reclamation plan in place, that's yes at 51%, 29% no, but note that it's 20% don't know, and we'll come back to that in a moment. And then we have the mill levy, which again is to basically fund the university for another 10 years. I think you said $18 million. That's at 54% yes, 22% no, and 23% don't know.
Yeah, that's interesting numbers. So maybe starting with I-185, I think these numbers are interesting because, you know, when I first heard about I-185 and kind of the plan, okay, let's hike tobacco taxes. Basically, let's stick it to the smokers so that we can fund Medicaid expansion. It sounded like kind of an easy win because, you know, typically it's pretty easy to just increase tobacco taxes and then fund programs. But this one I feel like is a little, especially when I read the ballot language and some things that I've been hearing. We had a candidate calling the other day, and he said he's hearing at the doors from people that it seems too complex. It seems too confusing. So that may be what is driving all these undecideds, but it also could maybe be bad news for the backers of I-185 as well. What's your thoughts?
So, there's a lot to talk about 185. First of all, I've had to guess today. I think it's going to lose. And that's mostly because don't knows go for the status quo and very often break pretty overwhelmingly. We're talking 80-85% to the no side of the aisle. So actually I think this is bad news if you support 185. And I think there are a couple reasons for that, Aaron. One is, yeah, it's complex, and if you dig down and look at it, there's lots of moving pieces about where that money's going to go. Two, this is an example where the tax has a clear industry that's directed toward, and that industry basically came in as unified. They don't want the tax. There's $25 million been spent on this, and overwhelmingly that money has been from the tobacco industry, and it has flooded the airwaves. I mean, $25 million, heck, Aaron, that's the second most expensive campaign in the state right now.
That's right, yeah.
And it's pretty much all no. I don't know about you, my mailbox has been flooded with no flyers to like 4-1 against this proposition. So,
well, not only that, but
this is going to go down.
The pro I-185 side just doesn't seem as organized either. I mean, you know, I've got in my email inbox, I've got guest opinion column after guest opinion column from Montana officials and others saying why to vote no on I-185. And, you know, aside from a few folks and friends in the hospital business across the state, where is the opposition? It's you know, I mean, it's almost like they're just kind of staying in their own little bubble or something. You know, I don't hear hardly anything from them or them reaching out to be on the radio to explain their side or anything. You know.
What's interesting, I think, if it fails, this is going to cause a lot of problems in the upcoming legislative session for Governor Bullock, right? Because what are you going to do? I mean, he's supported this, and I think it's going to be really hard to basically continue the expansion without this money.
It's interesting you mentioned Governor Bullock, too, because I kind of raised the question earlier in the week, hey, where is Governor Bullock when it comes to supporting Democrat candidates on the ballot here in the next 2 weeks? Well, he's off in Iowa campaigning for legislative candidates there. But the one place where he is visibly being seen is on TV commercials backing I-185. So would this be also a kind of a failure, or I mean, would at least be seen as a loss for Governor Bullock as well if it goes down? But yeah, what impact does that have heading into a legislative session? Because even the original backers of Medicaid expansion, like Ed Buttrey, are saying, hey, we want to make some reforms here.
Yeah, and I wonder if this goes down, if then folks can basically come around and say, well, this also tells the voters don't want Medicaid expansion. So maybe that might change the fundamental dynamics of that conversation. So this is very, very interesting in this regard. And also, he did cut an ad, and Governor Bullock is popular. He's actually pretty popular here in the state from what I've seen on external numbers. So, yeah, this is an interesting dilemma, and but right now I'd have to say it's going to lose.
Now, which is very interesting too, that prediction. Now, I-186. Now, I guess I'm not too surprised by the numbers here. I've heard it described, and I forget who to credit and attribute for this, but I've just heard it described that for at least for conservatives, that ballot initiatives and the initiative process can be kind of a double-edged sword. Tax cut measures are always very popular and easier to get through on initiatives. But then environmental initiatives are also easier for environmental groups to get through on an initiative. I mean, because who's really going to say they're against clean water and all of these things, which is, when you read the ballot language for I-186, unless you're somebody from the mining industry who is saying, because the mining industry is saying, hey, this will block any new mines from coming up in operation in Montana. But the casual reader will say, oh, clean water. Oh, well, of course I like clean water. Just like, yeah, of course I like lower taxes. And so it's kind of a double-edged sword. So it looks like by these numbers, though, the opponents to I-186 have a lot of rocks to still get out of the way here.
I agree in part and disagree in part. Here's where I agree in part. The language, basically. Again, yeah, I like clean water. I don't want my mines polluting my water in Montana. This is not a bad idea. So common sense-wise, it says this looks sensible. However, 50.6, if you think about the margin of error, and really that margin of error being around 50%, because you need 50% for it to pass, right? Guess what? It could be under 50% in our poll. And like I said, I think those don't knows will probably all break to the no side. So actually, I think this is tight. I actually think this is actually much. This one's more uncertain, I think, than 185.
Oh, interesting.
I think the 186 is more uncertain.
Yeah, Dr. Popper, basically, as I understand, the 6 mil levy, this has been around since 1948. It funds, I think, to around the tune of $18 million, the Montana University system. But right now, it looks like it's polling pretty strongly. Are there a lot of undecideds on that initiative as well?
Yeah, 22% undecided. And if you break down the numbers by age, there are majorities among people over 60. There are majorities among people over 40. There are pluralities among folks 40 to 49, and a slight majority among folks 50 to 59. So it seems it has pretty broad-based support. Extremely conservative voters, we let them rank themselves ideologically from extremely conservative to extremely liberal. 16% of extremely conservative voters say they're going to vote for it as well. So I think there seems to be pretty broad-based support for the mill levy. I also want to take a moment, if it's okay, Aaron.
Yeah.
I've been really heartened with the support for this poll and the response rates among Montanans. It has been wonderful to do this poll, and I'm just really glad that Montanans took to it. We're thrilled to be asked their opinions and that we were able to try to understand what's going on here in the state.
Got to say hats off to our friends at the Montana Television Network as well. As a lot of news organizations are scaling back and things like that, they've been ramping up and continuing to put out things and support things like this poll. So that's good to see. Hats off to our friends at MTN as well. Yeah,
they stepped up to the plate, and I'm really proud of them as well. So it's been great.
Was there one question you wish you could have asked in this poll that you weren't able to ask?
Oh, man. I'll tell you what, very simple. I wish I could ask a question about Kavanaugh.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that would have been interesting.
And here's the reason. It's very simple. The Kavanaugh hearings, when we designed it and printed the questionnaire, it looked like it was a done deal. The issues that had come up, the allegations were not even on the radar screen. So I'm like kicking myself. I'm like, why didn't we ask about that?
Oh, yeah. That would have been interesting. But because you kind of only caught a part of the Kavanaugh effect really with this polling, so that could have had a different impact. Well, and I saw info from More Information, which has been doing some Republican Senate polling, and they said that they saw a 4% jump prior to the Kavanaugh hearings to after, a 4% jump in support for Kavanaugh, who already had a majority support in Montana. And given the anger that generated, does that drive more voters towards the Republican? It'd be interesting to see if that Kavanaugh effect is still there all the way through Election Day.
Which I wish I would have been able to answer. Now, one thing I'm going to try to do is we have rough categories of when the surveys came in. So one of the things I was going to try to do is go over, literally, Aaron, they're in piles. So
Sure.
I need to go and sort them and then see if there's a shift It's a very crude metric, but that's one of my tasks between now and Election Day.